Albane Buriel, and I am a doctoral candidate in education at the University of Rennes in France. And also I am a member of the Center for Research and Teaching, Learning and Didactics in French. I am specialized in, so as you said, in the humanitarian action, in artistic practices, and in education in emergencies and extreme violence. So I am a consultant for humanitarian organizations as an advisor and trainer of people working in psychosocial support and non-formal education. Most recently in Iraq and Syria, and in my new job now I'm working in Eastern Europe with Roma communities. And so my professional project combines expertise in the use of artistic tools and in humanitarian work, research, particularly through cooperative educational engineering, and also analysis of context of adversity, war and displacement, and political ideologies, violence, and their impact on the education system and schooling. And so with the APECV, recently we created a MOOC, Arts on Conflict and Humanitarian Aid, which is an online training aims to develop skills and professional practices in this emerging field. First of all, I would say that the emergency context in the humanitarian field have some common characteristics with the vulnerable situation that we see in Europe, for example. So, but it's worse, of course, in many ways. But there are common features between the both. So first, I would say that one of the role is to guide young people, to guide the participant in situations of extreme vulnerability. It can be refugee camps. It can also be some war zones, for example. So that they find a way to express themselves in an alternative way. It's not only to make to copy or to see beautiful things. It's also to express. It's a matter of expression. Secondly, I would say to participate to connection between young people. This could be everywhere, but in some contexts, those specific contexts, it's a part of the war. It's a part of the main problems, the main impacts on the society is the connection between people. So conducting artistic activities collectively in pairs or in group and producing tasks in a collective manner can have a real impact on how they view each other, how they identify with each other, and also to show solidarity. It can develop empathy or solidarity, which miss sometimes in those contexts, or it's not easy to have. Third, I would say to build self-confidence and self-esteem. The same everywhere out through education throughout can have those impacts, but in this specific context it's one of the most important thing, because if a child is well guided in the artistic realization through the process of artistic creation, but maybe you will have something about that, the children can find meaning and gain confidence in his or her cognitive, manual, and or even more imaginative abilities. This can be a motor for empowerment and problem-solving processes, which when you have some bad experience, very bad experience of war or even traumatic experiences, those problem-solving processes that you had during art activities can be developed, and you can have those process and to take them in your real life. This, for me, this point for me, it's very important. And the last one that I'm thinking about now is one of the most important also, I think, is the notion of artistic project, which allow participants to engage in a production by planning and especially by developing their ability to project into the future. And we see in our context that it's really difficult when you are displaced, when you don't know when the war will finish or when you will go back home. The capacity to engage yourself in the future is pregnant. It's a real skills, because it's a lot of people and also youth and children, they want to go back as it was before. It's quite difficult to go on. So if you make a project, an artistic project, you make yourself able to follow few activities and to think about a long term or kind of that. um, so it is often what young people lack in situation of extreme vulnerability. So maybe about what you asked me about the specific artistic practice through arts and educational approaches. Yes, we my experiences in the humanitarian field, um, during those experiences in Iraq and Syria, but also in camps in France or in the literature of NGOs about that, we can see that the programs that and the activities, the art activities in the humanitarian field, um, are very different, because their aims, their professionals, their objectives very different to each from one to another. So we distinguish two trends in humanitarian field: the art through health approach and the art through culture approach. Which the culture and education, we put them both, but I will talk about culture approach. Those two approaches aim to the articulation of two dimensions, the individual and collective. The majority trend that we saw in these programs is art programs dedicated to mental health and well-being. So it focuses on interrogating the psyche from an internalist perspective. It's art therapy, or it could be also psychological um, programs where the psychologist will ask a child or will ask someone to draw. So it's really the mental health approach, the health approach. And so it can, of course, there are a lot of we saw the evidence show that when a child has a trauma or has a very bad experience, so those programs based on health can have a positive impact. But a minority approach is culturally oriented, as I practice, where, for example, we will talk about the culture of the countries, where we will learn about local arts, learning peace building through it, or education through art, or psychosocial support, to learn how we can manage emotions, or how we can connect, as I said, the roles. So for us, I think it's essential to act to both level, health and culture, in order to accumulate the contribution of these art practices on an individual and intimate level, as well as on a collective and cultural level. But even it could be political, as you said, as we talked about peace building programs or empowerment, how we can contribute to stop the war. We could imagine some projects we could develop those. For example, I will talk about maybe the psychosocial activities that I saw. Um, it depends on many things. It depends on who is doing the activities, what are their skills in doing art activities. Um, I saw, for example, in refugee camps in Iraq, people were more had more skilled. The facilitators are more skills on dance and singing, so they were contributing on a participative way with the children to make them express, to dance, to move their body, to move their minds on singing, creating songs and dance, and also really well known by everyone. So, um, and so it could be sometimes it's between the recreative activities and the psychosocial activities. So it depends on the aims and the structurations and of course the skills. And for that I think, and it's maybe everywhere the same, but what I saw is that to have a good activity, sometimes you need to have good practitioners. What it means that those practitioners are able to guide well and to guide the children or the youth in I would say productive, but it's not that, in 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 a good way for him. And now the studies and the evidences are showing that it's important for it to be playful. Before we were opposing the both, as if you play, it means that it's not serious. If you have fun, it means that you are not learning. But it's not true. And now I think in my field of the humanitarian ed, it's bit, mm, the 5 last years, there are a lot of things, a lot of NGOs who are focusing on sports, on play, on with the aim to be not recreative, to be uh, I don't have the word. In Mozambique, I had the opportunity to carry out a project with the French NGO Solinfo and the Mozambican NGO Kulima, the national one. And I was able to train about 20 people working in child protection, psychosocial support, and education in the troubled region of Cabo Delgado, where there were several terrorist attacks those past 2 years. And so there are many displaced people who are sleeping in makeshift shelters without access to quality continuing education. So these people lack everything and live in extremely precarious situations in some fields out of the city. So I trained people from the community and from the municipality, and for a week in the basics of animation and care through education through art, and for this with specific topics related uh, to um, to child protection and psychosocial support. So we were able to experiment with the basic of artistic creation. So, for example, we for the first time the people were able to draw, most of most of them, and for everyone it was the first time that they painted. So we were able for the first time for them to mix the colors, to making tools, how we can make tools with bamboo, for example, and to be able to think how we can structure activities, art activities, but also to connect how we can make psychosocial objectives in front of activities that they do with children. Art, but there were also some manual activities and sports. So during my trainings, I developed a concept. It's called the artistic biography, which is focused on three major thematics. It's identity, culture, and environment, as the environment as spaces, social spaces, which remains a primordial lever of for the well-being for young people and children. It is important to deal with substantive subjects in a structured and well throughout way, relation, emotion, rather than remaining on absent scene, like to make free drawing, for example, or activities with only a playful vocation. It's what I saw most of the time is that the professionals they prefer to let a child to to work on to make art on a topic which is totally upper ground, like it's like to work on Mickey Mouse, for example. So it's most of the time. Sometimes it's good, and also to make free drawing. Sometimes it's good, but there are some others ways to make the children and the youth to feel better, to work on those topics are the good levers for me, to work on their identity, to work on their culture, and to work on their spaces. Oh, what are the to think about themselves. We are not talking about philosophy, but just to be able to have a reflexive mind on myself in emergencies, how I can be enough strong to uh, how I can be be able to think about myself and to develop my the social skills, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So we planned also after. So I could share with you if you want the examples, or if you have questions I can answer. And we plan to build a training of trainers. So with new modules with these two NGOs, and we would like these empowerment and trainings processes to contribute to a greater autonomy of doctors. So it would be only online. So we hope there is something to do as you do, Teresa, to really to just to be able to follow and to empower the. And sometimes the situations are so big and so heavy that you don't have this space to think about you and your needs. So if we can find those space with our activities, to major recommendation would be to trust on the capacities and the value of your your participant culture and your culture. I mean, even if it's oral, I know sometimes it's not easy because the resources are it's not easy to find resources in the culture. I mean, and Teresa and me, we share this point. I know that so we can you can you we can value that you can make a lot of things even in countries where you feel that participants, young people, and they are far from a certain way of seeing arts and seeing art market, or I don't know the common features of arts education, and I think all is to discover, all is to create and imagine. So yeah, it would be that to trust on the capacity of creating and to develop a new culture.